Hello, I got a few emails to look at. It explains why biggest. Because they gave up on resolving their big problems. It's in the quote right here. They didn't give up on small problems. It's specifically big ones that last a long time that they give up and decide are impossible to solve. And specifically, the big ones look more impossible to solve than small problems. The heavy amount of typos and grammar errors and stuff makes this harder to read. It's noticeable. It's not like the normal posts where people have the occasional minor typo. This is just a constant stream of typos. All of the contractions are missing apostrophes. And that what, I assume should be that's what with apostrophe S missing. And that making is wrong. There's just constant typos of a variety of types. To the point that it's a problem. The more typos you have, the bigger a problem they are. Because if it's one typo and everything else is right, usually you can figure out what the typo means from context. But the more typos you have, the harder it is to figure out which are the non-typos and piece things together and figure it out. It's like if you have a puzzle with one or two parts missing, you can figure out what's going on. But the more parts are missing from your puzzle, the more you can't fix the errors. Here we have a double space. There's also shortcuts like lowercase I. If you're bad at writing, you shouldn't do those. And not capitalizing the first words of sentences. If your writing contains a lot of errors, then you should just write correctly where you can. You have to be a really good writer to get away with minor to get away with breaking the rules in minor ways to be more casual or whatever, you need to actually be a good writer who has a high consistent quality. If you're not at that point, then you should try to just get everything right as a general policy. The starting place for writing is write correctly, and then you can make some adjustments like lowercase typing, potentially, if you know what you're doing. You need a comma so badly. Should be learn. Oh god, this is a run-on sentence. Yeah, it's just like a lot of extra work to read this compared to good writing. So far, I think I figured out what everything was supposed to mean. But it puts a lot of extra burden on the readers, and it would be better if one writer did a better job instead of every reader. It's more efficient that way. And like, if you're bad at writing and your writing's a mess, you shouldn't use fancy things like later case. Like, just say which case you mean. I literally have no idea what later case refers to. There were like multiple things talked about. Like, you talked about a bunch of things. You had a run-on sentence with like 4 things in it, right? Studying, learning a lot, get excited, to learn things. Yeah, so that's like 3. And a lot of stuff I stopped studying became interesting. That's like four things. So I don't know which one the latter is. Maybe it's the last one? But isn't it latter normally used with 2 things? See, of 2 things, the one mentioned second is like a standard meaning. But it could also just mean more recent, so... But it's not standard to use latter after you say 4 things. And it's just like a word you shouldn't use in general, because it's too hard to follow. You should just say what you mean, instead of, like, giving people a treasure hunt to try to find what you mean. In the case, a lot of the stuff I stopped studying became interesting. He thinks he... Like, no, this is not... It's not communicating whatever the hell he meant. Like, I'm lost. I could try harder to figure it out, but it's just not worth it. One of the problems with leaving apostrophes out of all your contractions is some of them. Some words actually, like, are words with and without the apostrophe. Like, I can just assume there was meant to be an apostrophe, and it's the same with can't. Although, can't is a word. It means like a type of speech. An affected sing-song mode of speaking. The idioms and peculiarities of speech in any set, class, or occupation. Vulgar jargon slang, the secret language spoken by gypsies, thieves, tramps, or beggars. So yeah, can't does have meanings without the apostrophe, but they're uncommon. But it is very common with and without apostrophe, so if you don't use apostrophes, it's really ambiguous. Because both versions are actually common. Delete very. Oh, now it says that, but I don't know what that is. Like, it's another reference, but the more confusing your writing is, the less you can use references, and the more you actually just need to say the actual thing, instead of say words like that and think the reader will follow you. Ashley never trims quoting to the quotes that she actually wants you to read or thinks are relevant. You always have to scroll through a ton of stuff, and there's no indication of like which things she thinks matters because she just leaves everything, which is not good. With some people, it's like they don't trim every time, but they'll trim like sometimes. But, which is like reasonably okay, but Ashley just like never trims. It just builds up and up. And she's often not responding to a lot of it. If you do want them, then they do not count as clothes you don't want to wear. Like, this is just incoherent. Like, throw away the clothes you don't want to wear. That'll make it easier to find clothes to wear. Like, she's looking through her clothes, and she keeps finding ones she doesn't want to wear, so it takes her a while. That seems to be the situation. She's, like, going through clothes she doesn't want to wear until get to the ones she does want to wear. And then she says, but I do want to wear the ones I don't want to wear. That's, like, literally incoherent. Keep the ones you do want, get rid of the other ones that you don't wear. Whatever clothes you look for, when you have trouble picking what to wear, keep the ones that are the ones you look for and throw away the other ones. That way you only have the ones that are wearable. Then it won't take you so long. Okay, you didn't, like, actually follow up on this. Like, you were asked why you think it's a problem and stuff, and it never got clarified, and now you're just assuming it's a problem. This is so biased. It really just seems like someone told you it's a problem, and you believed them, and you don't know anything about it, and you don't have your own opinion. Well, you're not giving information. Like, you don't say any of the tutorials you watched. You don't say what was wrong with them. You don't say why you didn't learn anything. You don't say what you did to find other tutorials with things you don't know in them. Or why you failed to do that. Like, there's no information about your problem-solving process and what happened. You also, your arms got tired while doing the tutorials. Okay, which tutorial made your arms tired? Was the person in the video getting arms tired? Like, what's going on? You're not giving any information where someone could understand what's happening or what you're doing wrong. There are tons and tons of ways of doing hair where your arms don't get tired. And which don't take that long. And which are pretty. Because people think that pockets, fake pockets, look good or look fashionable. That's just how fashion is. Like, fashion doesn't have to make sense. They're just... Fashion is a popularity contest. If something is popular, then it's fashionable. If people think it's look good, then it's fashionable. It doesn't matter if it makes sense. Like, saying, how the hell is that fashion is just, you don't understand anything about fashion. Like, what it is. It is what people think look good. Lots of people think fake pockets look better than no pockets. That's just people's aesthetic taste. You say just don't put the fake pockets, but you're completely ignoring people think they look good. That's why they're there. They are decoration instead of nothing, because people think they look better than nothing in many cases. I don't know why people think that. It's just some opinion, some trend, some fad. Maybe it'll change in a few years. Who knows? But it's like a weird response, like you're just unfamiliar with fashion. But the reason that's weird is that this is the same person who says they care how they look, but then they're just like yelling about fake pockets. Like, your job, if you care about how you look, is to like notice people wearing fake pockets and then also wear fake pockets, for example. Like, that's the kind of thing you do if you care how you look, is you pay attention to what other people wear. Celebrities, also like just people on the street, people in like your area, because there's like local trends. And especially people who are like similar age, gender, social status, etc. to you. It's very hard to get anywhere in these discussions. Like, there's very little information about what's actually going wrong, or what's going on, or what she thinks, or why. This makes sense. It's a bit abstract. I think she needs more, like, practical life stuff to just, like, do basic things in life. Like, do her hair without hurting her arms. Like, this seems kind of advanced. Like, it's cool that she can read some of this stuff for some of her time and like it. And, like, what she says this reply paragraph makes total sense. But I think it might be, like, an intellectual game where she's, like, saying things, but she doesn't know how to, like, change it in her life. Like, it's just talking instead of practical would be my concern. There's nothing here about anything she's going to do to make her life better, any practical action that's going to relate to any of this, any changes she's going to make, any way it relates to her, like, life plans. It's just intellectual talking, disconnected from life. And I think that's a problem when you don't have your life, like, organized and in order, with things like income and dealing with daily chores well, and so on. Like, if you don't yet have, like, a life structure set up, it's problematic to have things that are just, like, irrelevant. It's not a big deal. Like, read some things. Maybe something will help. Like, even if, like, only 1 in 10 essays is helpful or something, it could still be very worth reading them. But this is not, like, effective for having a discussion that moves forward. Like, there's nothing in particular here that's looking for a reply. There's no questions. There's nothing that's, like, trying to get error correction or get feedback on a particular thing. It's kind of a dead end. And I worry that, like, you know, with enough dead ends, people get discouraged. They stop doing it. They think, I already tried philosophy, it didn't work. It's like, if you're not going to resent this, no matter what happens and how useless it is, then it would be, like, more okay. But if you're going to, like, do this 10 times and then give up, then you have a serious problem, because this post is not going to lead to direct practical results. So if you're really fine with that, then great. But, like, a lot of people are not actually fine with that, and, like, they want some sort of practical results. If you liked this, look at my other stuff. Got websites, newsletter, etc.